The GBNews pub has been declared open, and in these dire times, I'm very, very pleased that it is. And I'm joined by Alfie Best. Alfie, welcome to Talking Pints. Welcome to GBNews. Now, I think it's right to say, isn't it? Gypsy upbringing, gypsy background, born on the side of a main road, not into exactly the easiest of circumstances. I don't think your school career was that impressive.
You wouldn't say I'm a great academic.
I mean, you tell me.
No.
From what I can make out, you sort of left school at...
Well, I left school at 12 years old, but the reason I was born on the side of the road is my mum and dad liked cars and lorries.
And was it a real gypsy family?
Yeah, no, we're Romani gypsies.
Yeah.
I was brought up as a Romani gypsy, lived in a caravan up until I was sort of 17 or 18 years old. You don't ever stop becoming a gypsy. You know, what is the old saying? Just because a dog is born in a stable doesn't make it a horse. You are what you are.
Yep.
And I think a man has to know where he's from in life to actually know where he's going. And anybody that denies it to himself can't really be true to anybody.
So that's very profound. So you leave school at 12, you're out doing all sorts of different jobs to, make ends meet, bring some money in. Where does because you're now, the Sunday Times Rich List puts you in every year. I don't know what you're worth. Do you know what you're worth?
Yeah, my company's worth in excess of £1 billion now. So it's
not bad, is it?
No, but do you know something? After a certain amount of money, and that's way further down the scale, it's only just to see how far you can go. Yeah. You don't actually ever see the money, or I certainly don't. It's about building a company, and the company takes on a life of its own. It's the real honest truth.
You must be the first gypsy billionaire.
Possibly, yeah. I think
certainly
so.
In this country.
Yeah, I would say so.
Do you enjoy the money?
You don't see me frowning.
You've got more than you could ever spend, obviously, but you enjoy the success.
I love the success. That's what drives me.
And how did you do it? How did you do it? What was the big break for Alfie Best?
Big break. I think the big break was actually the hardest point of going bankrupt. At 20, I was very successful, and I was worth £1 million at 20-year-old, and I'd really done well. And the recession set in, of the 1990 recession. Yeah. And what I wasn't seasoned enough to be able to get through it. I didn't understand business well enough. Thought I did. And, the worst thing that can happen to anybody in business is start to believe your own hype. And the moment you start to do that, you start to make mistakes, because people stop telling you and start telling you what you want to hear. Whereas the one thing we must always remember is we're students. We're all students of life. We never stop learning.
Do you think the higher up anyone goes in a business, whether it's a business or politics, but when people reach a senior position, perhaps it's quite common to be surrounded by people who tell you what they think you want to hear?
I think people start to believe that you're right. People start to believe that you're knowledgeable in fields that actually you're not. I'm not a smart man, but I certainly have a lot of people around me that are.
Well, you must be pretty sharp. Come on. You don't do this from nothing.
Do you know what I am? A good common-sensed person, which is not so common anymore.
Had you thought about politics? Because we could do with a bit of common sense in government and parliament.
I was going to say I'd like to keep my common sense.
Wow. No, well, common sense, it really, really matters. And you've got a bit of a passion for football, I see.
Actually, I've got a passion for boxing. I just happen to...
Boxing's the big one.
Yes, yeah. But I own a football club.
Yeah.
We bought it to stop it closing because it was a cornerstone of the local area. It's called East Thurrock United. I'm not a passionate football person. Boxing I am. My son's a boxer. Yeah. I had 62 amateur fights. I enjoy that. If anybody said, what's your release, it would be boxing.
We had Duke McKenzie in the other day, and, great guy, world champion at 3 different weights, and, of course, he's got the Duke McKenzie gym. He made a very interesting point. He said that, when he was growing up, kids from poor backgrounds, disadvantaged backgrounds, there were gyms and boxing clubs everywhere. It was an opportunity for kids to go and, learn a discipline and focus on something. And the point Duke was making is those opportunities just aren't there in the same way for young kids anymore.
What I would say to you is boxing humbles the bullies and embraces the shy. It gives people confidence that haven't got confidence, and it makes the bullies realise that everybody can be a bully.
Its opponents would say that it's barbaric, that it's outdated.
What I would say to you is it certainly didn't hurt me. And it's certainly from a kid that, as a gypsy, I've suffered an awful lot of discontent. I don't like to use the word racism because I don't actually believe in it. I actually believe...
You?
No, I don't. I believe it's just abuse. No different than calling somebody ugly, fat, thin or indifferent. I just take it as abuse. And that abuse I use to strive further. And do I still get it? Of course I do, but no different than a fat person being called fat.
And you get jealousy now too.
Yeah, of course.
Alfie, I'm really keen to talk to you. There's one thing I know that you're very successful at, and I think you're by far the biggest in the country at, and I think it perhaps could be a real opportunity to open up a debate. So, mobile homes is what I would call them, but they're not that mobile in a sense. They're quite fixed, aren't they?
Yeah, look, mobile homes have moved on. They started off as a caravan.
Yes.
They then went to be a static caravan. Then they became a mobile home. Then they became a park home. Now today they're a park home bungalow. And to the naked eye, you couldn't tell the difference between a park home bungalow and a bricks and mortar bungalow. I'm very passionate about it. It's actually, I would say, the key to my success where I became passionate about it. I genuinely believe that it is the solution to affordable housing. Not could be, not would be, is the solution to affordable housing.
So, I mean, I've got one of these, parks quite close to me. Probably a couple of hundred properties in there. I walk through there regularly, walk the dog through there regularly. I find the people that live there are some of the nicest, politest people you could ever possibly meet. They clearly haven't got a lot of money, but they seem very proud of what they have got. The gardens are all neat and tidy. There's a real sense of community. I mean, is this the experience around the country?
There's good and bad in all parks. And park living isn't for everybody. Remember, it's not one shape or one box that fits all. Park home living isn't for everybody. I spoke to somebody yesterday, they said, well, I'd much prefer a flat. So, city centre people, you're going to have different walks of life.
And they tend to be in more rural parts of the country.
Yeah, of course. But what I would say, and I say the word of course, the reason that they tend to be more rural is because that's where they've evolved from. But why is park home living? Why am I so passionate about it? Real simple. Who better to buy a mobile home from than a gypsy? I've lived, breathed and ate it. I've slept, I've lived it. I know them back to front. So the truth of the matter is, not only am I an expert in it, I believe in it. And what makes me an expert? 50 years. 50 years makes me an expert of starting there and finishing there.
Now, these mobile homes, these park homes, they come in different shapes and sizes.
Yep.
Typically, let's just say that we're talking about one of these properties. Let's say it's got, a couple of bedrooms. So it might be suitable for a couple that have got a kid, something like that. And they may well be, on a council house waiting list.
Yep.
And they're finding months go by, year goes by, they're making almost no progress at all. I mean, there's at least 1 million shortage of council homes in England alone at the moment, and who knows, maybe it's even bigger than that. So they're pretty desperate with that situation. They want to get onto the property ladder, but actually, buying a house, buying a flat, it really is very, very difficult for people. What could you say to somebody? Say in that situation, say you've got a couple in their early 30s, they've got a kid, they don't want to live in a big, high-rise flat. What's it going to cost them to buy a 2-bedroomed?
Well, let me turn this on its head, just before I answer that question.
Yeah.
I've written 2 white papers to the government on housing and affordable housing, how park home living is the solution to affordable housing. But now to come to your question.
Yeah.
And I've never received a response.
Never?
Never.
Not from the housing minister?
No, not from the two previous housing ministers, no. We've not received a response.
Have you asked for meetings with them?
Yeah, of course. You know, we've lobbied government. But I believe, and as hard contempt for me to say this, I believe it's purely down to financial gain on the government's part of why they don't embrace park home living.
So the story, as I understand it, is if I was to come along and buy a park home, and I was to buy a 2-bedroomed, bathroom, kitchen, main living area, bit of a garden, and I'd pay, I don't know, £75,000, £80,000 for it, would I? Or something,
Yep.
I mean, something in...
It depends where it is in the
Sure.
area. If it was in Surrey, it would be 150 to 200.
Yeah.
If it was in, say, Preston, it'd be 80.
Yeah, okay.
Different prices for different areas. Because
as the market is anyway.
Yes.
But if I was to do that, as I understand it right now, Alfie, there'd be no land registry fees.
No stamp duty, no land registry
Stamp
fee.
duty?
No.
No wonder they're not writing back to you.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about council tax?
Band A. So it's 64% cheaper on our council tax band, Band A, to live in a park home than what it is to live in a like-for-like bungalow in the same area. Cost-wise, if I can go back, because I don't want to sound like a politician and avoid that question.
Well, I think he's trying hard, isn't he? But go on.
The price of a park home is 50% or less than a like-for-like bricks and mortar bungalow. So if a bricks and mortar bungalow in a local area, say, I've got a park called Saltmarsh Castle near a place called Bromyard, the average park home there is about £180,000, approximately. For a brand new park home bungalow that you move in, looks like a bungalow, a conventional bricks and mortar. The same bungalow would be £450,000 in the local area. So they're at 50% or less. And there's no land registry fee, they're Band A council tax, there's no land stamp duty, and electricity is, on average, 25 to 28% cheaper.
Why?
And it's not because, and I want to make this point clear, it's not because they're better insulated or this, that or the other. It's purely factually commercial. The pass-through rate that comes to the meter is purchased on a commercial rate. So that rate gets passed on. I don't know what you pay at home. I pay, I think, 23 pence per kilowatt unit, which is, I think, the average across the country, there or thereabouts. In a park home, that would be 15 or 16 pence per unit.
So this really is affordable housing?
100%. And it stays affordable. Yes, it carries with the rate of housing. As housing goes up, park homes go up.
Yeah.
But it never reaches to the right level of bricks and mortar.
And are you the biggest in this game?
We're the biggest park operator in Europe that has ever been.
Right.
We've currently got 93 parks. We're fully independent. We're 100% owned. And the company has taken on a life of its own. I'm blessed because I'm not a smart man. I'm just a passionate man. I'm passionate about what I do, but I'm blessed because the team I have around me have embraced the dream of park home living. Do we get it right? No. We get it wrong every day. But I learn by my mistakes because I'm a student of life.
Interesting. What about planning permission?
Planning permission is very difficult to ascertain for park home living. Why? For all the reasons I've just told you. They'd rather give you planning for housing than what they would park homes because it's not financially viable.
Alfie, I am really fascinated by this. I've visited several of these sites over the years as I've campaigned and been around the country, and I know the places I've been to, I've met happy, contented people who seem very happy with where they are. I've been struck by a sense of community that exists in these places, and I'm very, very struck. I really think you've got something you've been phenomenally successful with it.
It's been an overnight success, just took 20 years.
Yeah, well, and I think government should listen. I really do think government should listen. And I have to say, I'm really going to make sure that we at GB News are going to contact the Housing Minister. And we're going to say, please, can you give us some answers as to why you're not getting some proper answers to the questions you're putting. And I promise you I'm going to do that.
Well, I had an interview on TV with Alex Salmon, who was the Scottish minister.
Yep.
When I told him the same thing as what I've told you, he was blown away by it. Because anybody that listens to it and investigates it can see clearly this is a solution. And it takes people like yourself to be heard.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's not all of it, but it could be very significant and I think could help a lot of people. So what next, Alfie Bass? I mean, you've done it all already, but what next? What do you do next?
I've done a small
Because you're still relatively young.
Yeah, I think so. And also, I live a young life.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is, I don't want to grow old. I don't want to grow old gracefully. I want to grow old and still be 20 years old when I'm 90. And for us, we will go to America. And America is the next country for us, where we've already got parks there. We've got 11 in North Carolina. But for me, I want to go there. I want to do exactly what we did here. And we're not stopping in the UK. Our goal is, without me sounding outlandish, but is world domination of the park home industry.
Well, there you are. You see, I mean, I've had a lot of guests on Talking Pints. Few, though, with the self-confidence of Alfie Best, and we thank him for joining us here at GB News. Thank you.
Pleasure's been mine, and thank you.
Cheers.
Nigel.
Thank you.